Okay, so today let us start with the linear operators. So now we are discussing about the linear operators. So what are basically the operators? So there is a linear vector space V, and suppose there is an operator A. So you take any vector in this vector space, any element of that vector space. So if you act this operator, so it's a vector, so any vector on that space, in general you get a vector, some other vector psi. So an operator acting on a vector will give you another vector. So this is what basically an operator is, okay, in general. So what is the domain of this operator? So what is the domain of this operator? So there is a space, say this is your V. So there are so many vectors in that. So under the action of this operator, there is no guarantee that this psi also belongs to phi. So this is not guaranteed always, belongs to V. So this is not guaranteed always. So the action of this operator on certain set of vectors in this, okay, will give you another set of vectors which is in V itself. So that basically meaning, so if I act, so this vector, so under the action, if those vectors whatever you are getting also goes to the same V, okay, so those set of vectors are the domain, okay, of that operator. So is that clear? So this is again V only. So under the action of the operator A, if there are certain vectors goes to V itself, some vectors may under the action goes to somewhere outside, not in V itself, okay. So something can go outside. So the vectors in this V under the action of A goes to the same V, okay. If it is again in that same vector space, then those set of vectors, these three in this case, are called the domain of that vectors, okay. And the vectors you are getting here, right, because you get different vectors here. So suppose this is phi 1, this is phi 2, and this is phi 3. So you may get psi 1, psi 2, and psi 3. So this psi 1, psi 2, psi 3 form a set, that is basically the range of this operator. The phi 1, phi 2, phi 3, etc., that forms the domain of that vector. So is that definition clear? Yeah. Yes.
So you told some vector are going outside of the this space. So
Mhm.
where they are going.
No, I mean, under the action of that vector, see, if you take some operator and act on some vector, you get some vector, say chi, you are getting this. Say this is phi 4, you are acting on A, acting on ket phi. You get, because under this action of this operator, you get some vector. So what is the guarantee? So there is no guarantee that this chi also belongs to, it's not an element of V. Suppose that chi is not an element of V, then this phi 4 does not belongs to the domain of the operator A. So this get chi is not in the same vector space, that's all. Okay.
So sir, we can't say that phi will be the domain of A.
Phi 4 will not be in the domain. So domain is basically a set of vectors. So phi 4 is not in the domain of the operator A, because under the action of A on phi 4 giving you some vector which is not in V. Okay. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So suppose in a vector space we have as you told us the subset phi's which are the domain of the operator. That suppose a vector in that vector space if you represent as a basis of that LBS, then while operating this A, does it say that it will take out of phi, then the basis may not be the domain of the operator.
Okay, so so you have a vector space. There are so many vectors in that. Say phi 1, phi 2, phi 3. Okay, so many vectors are in that, and there are. See, I am not even talked about what is the, because when you define this, I am not talked about the what is the dimension. Okay, it can be 2 dimension, 3 dimension, any dimension. So there is also certain basis vectors in this. There are certain vectors may be basis, because maybe phi 1 and phi 2. Suppose it is a 2 dimensional vector space. Then phi 1 and phi 2 may be basis vectors. Okay. So there are so many basis vectors also. So I am considering any vector you take in this. That vector may be one of the basis vector in the one of the basis, or in a general another vector. If it is any other general vector which is not a part of a basis, that you can actually write it in terms of the basis in that. That is not any problem. But you take any vector in this, it may be basis vector or may be. Okay. And under the action of the operator on that particular vector, this can be a basis or not basis. Okay. So A acting on ket phi 4, okay, give you another vector. That is the definition of the. So this operator. So what is the action? How do that action is? That we have to see. That depends on what kind of operator you are discussing. Okay. So here I am just general definition I am giving. So any operator acting on some vector is going out of that vector space, then that particular vector is not in the domain of that operator. Okay. And this phi 4 may be a one of the vector in one of the basis, or it may be any other general vector. And if there is any other general vector, you can write it as a superposition of the vectors, basis vectors in that. So now you tell me the question.
My argument was the point that you told that some vectors it will take out of the linear vector space if you operate with this A.
Yes.
That will not be constituting the domain.
Yes.
So, and then suppose the bases are any vector we can represent the linear combination of bases. And if you operate on a vector which is a linear combination of bases, means that this operator is acting on the basis also.
Yes.
Then that if then it will definitely take you to the same vector spaces. So it is operating on the basis, and then if bases are the domain, then it will again take you back to the same.
No. What is the C? What do you mean by that? Because see, I have some general vector psi. This I can write it as, I am just taking an example, C1 ket phi is a 2-dimensional case. Okay. So I am saying that this ket psi does not belong to the domain of the operator A. So that means when I act A on psi, I get some chi. Okay. I get some chi which is not in V. That's all. So then this ket psi is not in the domain of A. So this ket psi I can represent as a superposition of basis vectors. Fine. but C1 A ket phi 1 plus operator A acting on ket phi 1 plus C2 operator A acting on phi 2, that vector, because this will give you a vector, that does not belong to V, that's all. Because A acting on phi 1, maybe that basis vector itself is not a domain of A, or phi 2 may not be a domain of A, or the combination of these two. So there are three possibilities. One is phi 1 is not a domain of A, phi 2 is not a domain of A, okay, phi 1 plus phi 2, that combination is not a domain of A. So any of these things are satisfied, then ket psi is not a domain of A. So the basis, that's what I am saying. So you don't have to worry about the basis vector or not. Okay, under action of this operator, you are getting some vector which is not in the domain. Means that vector is not in the domain. I am not saying that, because that resultant vector is not in that V. Okay, if that resultant vector is not in V, then this ket phi 4 is not in the domain of the operator A. But ket phi 4 is a vector in this vector space, okay, and ket psi is a vector in this vector space, ket phi 1 is a vector in this vector space, ket phi 2 is a vector in the vector space. Only thing is this ket chi is not in this vector space, that's all. Because this ket chi is some other vector, which does not belong to this vector space, that's all. But phi 4, psi, all these things are a vector in this vector space. But under action of this operator, you get a new vector. It's completely a new vector that may or may not exist in this vector space. Okay? So what is a linear vector space? So that we have to understand. So before that, so when will you say there is an operator and it is having a domain D, okay? So when will you say that this the domain of this operator, okay, is dense? Okay, so I want to say that this domain of this operator is a dense. So what do you mean by that? Okay, so you take any vector in this vector space, then there is a small subset D, because D is a subset of your total V, right? Certain cases, for some operators, maybe D is V itself, but in general it is a subset of V. So the next question is, when can you say that this subset is dense? Okay, so that definition is, you take any vector in this vector space, then you find a small neighborhood. In the small neighborhood of that vector space, that vector, you will see another vector which is in the domain of D, in the domain of the operator A, or in the set D. Is that clear? Suppose so when will you say that the D is a dense for the operator A? Okay, the domain of the operator A is dense. When will you say that? You take any vector in this vector space. If you in the neighborhood of that vector, you will find another vector which is an element in D. Okay, so that if that condition is satisfied, then we say that this D is dense, okay, or the domain of the operator A is dense, or the operator A itself is dense. Okay, so people use different ways. People say that. Okay, so is that clear? So when will you say that operator A is dense? So you take the domain. Okay, so there are certain vectors. You take any vector in the vector space. If in the small neighborhood, if you find one vector which belongs to the D, then we say that A is a dense. So already the last class I talked about the Hilbert's space, right? So now our most of the physics problems, okay, happens either a dense set of operators and a space which is Hilbert space. So quantum mechanics basically happens in Hilbert space. So now onwards we are only concentrating on an Hilbert space, okay, a vector space which is an Hilbert space, and also the operators which are dense, okay. So now we have to define the adjoint of an operator. So how will you define the adjoint of an operator? So there is, I'll use some notations now. So A operator acting on phi, I use the notation A phi, okay. So this is a notation, okay. So this is an operator. If you want, you can put a cap here. So A acting on ket phi, I use this notation. So obviously this is a new vector, right? So this is a vector, so I am just representing as a vector form. Now take any other vector in that vector space, then okay, so before that I have to define the linear operator, okay. So what do you mean by a linear operator? Because we defined operator, now I have to define linear operator. So linear operators, basically there are two conditions it has to satisfy. The domain should be a linear manifold. In the last class I told you what is a linear manifold, right? So domain should be a linear manifold. And the action of the operator A, suppose A is a linear operator, on alpha phi plus beta psi is alpha A phi plus beta psi. Okay. So if these two conditions are satisfied, then that operator is a linear operator. Fine.
So the definition for domain works for the non-linear operators also, right?
Domain, see, domain definition is yes. So only that the thing is domain basically meaning that if you act on that vector, okay, that the resulting vector should be in the same vector space. That's all. Okay, that's all domain. Okay, so we now talk about the linear operators only, because the most of the physics deals with the linear operators. Okay, so we'll talk about the linear operators. 1 second. So now coming back to the adjoint, operators. So there is an operator A acting on phi. Now, so obviously the phi is a domain of the vector in the domain of A. So this give you some vector, right? So I am denoting that vector as A psi, A phi. So there is another vector psi. So I can find, because this is a vector, so I can find the inner product of this vector with this. Okay, so this one, if I do this, what will be this? This will be a complex number, right? In general, a complex number. Now suppose you can identify this equal to B psi, okay, phi. Then suppose you can identify a vector B such a way that B psi. So what is the B psi? B psi is basically there is some operator B acting on psi. So give you another vector, maybe chi, okay. So this one I can denote it as B psi, and its dual is this bra B psi, okay. So ket B psi dual is this bra B psi. So now this B operator is in general nothing, is not a operator, okay, it is something else, okay. So suppose this is equal to this, then B is called as the adjoint of the operator A. So we will use the notation, instead of B we will put A dagger, okay. So A dagger is the adjoint of the operator A when this condition is satisfied. So you have to, in principle, you have to find out any operator. You can actually, okay, if it is a finite dimension, you can find out that adjoint very easily. If it is a densely bounded operators, you can actually find out the adjoint. But it's not for infinite dimension vectors, okay, infinite dimensional vector space, the finding adjoint may not be easy, may not exist also, it's not guaranteed, okay. So in the case of finite dimensional matrices, finite dimensional vector space, so if I have an operator A, so how will I find, if I have an operator A, how do I find the matrix elements of this operator A? How do I find the matrix elements of this operator A? I have an operator A. How do I find out the matrix elements of this operator A? So when I say matrix representation, so matrix representation in some basis, okay, say it is the basis is ket phi I. So the matrix elements corresponding to that operator is phi I, A, phi j. So any operator, if it is basically the finite dimensional, you can actually write down is matrix and the matrix elements. So in those cases, the corresponding adjoint operator, A dagger operator, its matrix representation will be the Hermitian matrix of, you know what is an Hermitian matrix? What is an Hermitian matrix? Suppose B is an Hermitian matrix, B is equal to B dagger, okay. So that is complex conjugate transpose, right. So if the complex conjugate transpose of the matrix B is equal to B dagger, we say that the that is an Hermitian matrix. So how to find out B dagger? So in general B is not equal to B dagger. If B is equal to B dagger, we say that that is an Hermitian matrix. So how will you find out B dagger? You have to just find out complex conjugate transpose. So for the finite dimensional vector space, any operator is adjoint. If you want to find out, you can actually take the matrix representation and find out its adjoint matrix, okay. So B dagger, okay. So that is same as the adjoint, okay, for the finite dimension. Infinite dimension, that is not true. So is this concept clear for an adjoint operator? Yeah.
Can you explain it again how to find adjoint?
That's what I am saying. Adjoint in general for any dimensional matrix, it is not an easy task to find. For finite dimensional vector spaces, okay, what you have to do is you just find out, okay, you find out its corresponding matrix representation for that particular operator, then find out its adjoint matrix. Adjoint matrix is complex conjugate transpose. Okay, that matrix will be the matrix representation of, so there is an operator A, I can have a matrix representation for that. So if I find a matrix representation, you find out A dagger, which is complex conjugate transpose of that matrix. So that will be the adjoint operators matrix representation. So when I have the matrix representation, if I have the components of a matrix, we already in the one of the earlier classes we said that I can actually write it into the operator form. So after I get this matrix, actually I can, after getting this matrix, I can write down its operator form, then I get the dagger. So finite dimension, there is no issue. Okay, you find out its matrix representation in some basis, find out this complex conjugate transpose, okay, and you write that in terms of an operator form, then you get its adjoint operator. But infinite dimension, it cannot, it's not guaranteed first of all, because finite dimension is guaranteed, okay, there will be a adjoint, okay, and but densely, if it is the operator is a densely dense operator, then you can actually find out irrespective of other infinite dimension, okay, you can find out the adjoint. So we will find out some operators adjoint, we will find out, okay, where you cannot actually do the matrix representation like this, okay, you can find out. So the operator can be the differential operators also. So we can actually later on we can find out what is the adjoint of the operator d by dx. Okay. So there is an operator d by dx. I want to find out the adjoint of that operator. Anybody is having any idea? Whoever knows or the senior students can just keep quiet. What is the d by dx dagger? The adjoint. This is an operator. What is the d by dx dagger? It is minus d by dx. Okay, so we will understand, we will do that little later today or maybe in the next class. So because the momentum operator, you can have a corresponding differential operator. You can actually momentum operator, so this is not equal sign, okay, momentum operator can actually have a, you can relate to minus I d by dx. We will do that shortly. So then obviously, so before that I have to define what is an Hermitian operator and all. So adjoint operator we have already defined, okay. Then we have to now define self-adjoint, Hermitian, symmetric. Okay, so the idea of adjoint operator is clear, right? What is an adjoint operator? So I have an operator A acting on phi, okay. So now if I take, so this is in the Ket space. So what is this operator in the bra space? What you get this operator in the bra space? All of you just take 2 minutes or 15 seconds. Okay, do not say the answer now. You tell me what is this operator's, is this vector, this altogether it is a vector, okay. So this vector bra representation. So consider the operator A acting on Ket phi. So what is the dual vector corresponding to this? So general A acting on Ket phi is any another general ket psi. So the dual of this vector will be bra psi. So if you have a notation A ket phi as A phi, as a notation A phi, so the dual will be bra A phi. So that is same as this one. So as an operator, what happens when I take A from A phi, the ket space, to a bra space, the ket phi will become bra phi and A will become A dagger. So this is where A dagger is nothing but the adjoint operator of the operator A. So this is the reason when we are written bra A suppose you have written some psi A operator acting on phi, which is equal to bra psi A phi. Suppose this is equal to some operator acting on bra psi, that is B psi phi. Then this B is nothing but the adjoint operator A dagger. So the bra B psi is nothing. So if I substitute B as A dagger psi, so when you go to the ket space, this is ket A dagger psi, right? Then this is A dagger acting on psi. So A dagger acting on ket psi is same as A acting on bra psi. Okay. So A ket phi when you go to bra space, it become A dagger bra phi. So in short, if I have an operator like this, so if suppose I don't have any idea how to calculate B acting on ket psi, the other possibility is to check what is the action of the B on bra phi. So to know that, what you should know is if I know the B dagger acting on phi, then in the dual space, that is basically B acting on phi. So with the knowledge of B dagger acting on ket phi, I can actually do the action of B on bra phi. So now I will ask you a simple question. Suppose I know the action, so there is some operator A acting on ket alpha, which is equal to alpha ket alpha. So I will explain about these things little later, clearly in detail. Basically the ket alpha is the coherent state and A is the annihilation operator. So coherent state is the eigenstate of the annihilation operator with eigenvalue alpha. So I have this knowledge. So with this knowledge, can I calculate alpha A dagger ket alpha? So this is the next question. So we have done something here. Okay. Can I make use of that to calculate A dagger acting on ket alpha with a inner product with the alpha, ket alpha? So can I calculate this quantity with the knowledge of A acting on ket alpha using this? Yeah. So what we are having is A operator acting on ket alpha, which is equal to alpha ket alpha. But what we require from this is A dagger acting on ket alpha. Okay. So A and A dagger are different operators. This is one operator, this A dagger is an adjoint operator. Okay. But A is not equal to A dagger. So if A is equal to A dagger, so I will be discussing that is a special kind of operators. But in general, A is not equal to A dagger. So with this knowledge, I cannot find out A dagger on ket alpha. So I cannot write A dagger on ket alpha equal to something. No, it is not possible. Okay. So means okay, possible with the whatever the information I have given to you. Now, if you can actually write down ket alpha in terms of a Fock basis, then you can actually act A dagger on that Fock basis and all we can do. Those things we will do later. But right now with this information and the knowledge of A acting on ket alpha, I cannot write down A dagger on ket alpha. But this quantity, that is A dagger acting on bra alpha, I can write down. So what is A dagger on bra alpha? So now you have to go to its dual space, but that is the ket space. So in the ket space, what is A dagger on bra alpha? What is the ket? In the ket space, what is this is equal to? When I go to the ket space, what should I do? The bra alpha will become ket alpha. A dagger will become A. So that is what we earlier said. I was saying that 2-3 times. Okay. So A acting on ket alpha in the ket space is equivalent to bra alpha A dagger. Okay. So this is, so if I want to calculate A dagger on bra alpha, what should I do? Okay. I will go to the ket space, see whether that action I can do. A acting on ket alpha, I know the answer. What is the A acting on ket alpha? A acting on ket alpha is alpha ket alpha. So A dagger acting on bra alpha in the dual space is alpha ket alpha. Now I have to bring it back to the ket space, bra space. So what is the corresponding bra space? Ket alpha will become bra alpha. Alpha in the bra space will become this complex conjugate. Okay. So A dagger acting on bra alpha is alpha, alpha star, alpha. Now alpha star is a number, then I get alpha alpha. If alpha is normalized, this quantity is 1. If it is not normalized to 1, then basically this is the norm square. So that is the one of you said the answer. Okay. So A dagger acting on ket alpha, I don't know what to do. But A dagger acting on bra alpha is same as A acting on ket alpha in the ket space. Okay. Then I again take it back to the bra space because ket alpha become bra alpha in the bra space. The number, any general complex number become is complex conjugate. So any operator in the ket space, action on the ket space is equivalent to its adjoint acting on the bra space. So now is it clear to all of you? Because it's a very crucial concept. Okay. Anybody is having any question on this? Yeah.
Sir, can't we use apply dagger on the given that we have been given that A ket alpha is equal to alpha ket alpha? Can we use a dagger on both sides and
Dagger on both sides. Both sides where?
top side, top
Yeah.
expression which is given. Can we take a dagger on both sides and use find out A dagger alpha? Total dagger on total.
Alpha A dagger. Okay. But what is this? What is A dagger A acting on ket alpha?
No, sir. My point is A itself is low. Can you take dagger on applying dagger on the both like dagger of A?
Okay. What you are saying? See, it's not applying dagger. Okay, because applying dagger is having a different meaning. Okay, that only you can do in the case of matrices. Okay, so in the operator's case it is the adjoint. Okay, if I have an operator, if I apply in a dagger, suppose an operator applying a dagger means I am finding out the adjoint of that operator. Okay, so I have an operator A, if I do this, it is an adjoint of that operator. But this is a vector. Vector dagger, what does it mean? Okay, so what you are, see, you understood how the result is got. So now your question is, so what you actually done is whatever I have been doing. Basically dagger acting on this basically meaning you are going to the brass space. Okay, so what is A acting on ket alpha is brass space is bra alpha A dagger. Okay, and alpha, the brass space is alpha star, ket alpha is bra alpha. So this is what we got. So, but this is not equal to this. This quantity is not equal to this, or this dagger is not equal to this. That is not correct. Okay, this is what you have been saying, not taking the dagger. Okay, so you are actually going to a brass space basically. So for that what you have to do is, I understood. Okay, so when I want to go to the ket space to brass space, I have to do this. So I am going that. I cannot write this equal to, or I cannot write this dagger is equal to this. No, I am going to the brass space. Okay, so how to go to the brass space is ket alpha in the brass is corresponding vector in the brass space is bra alpha. Okay, operator A in the corresponding in the brass space is A dagger. So that is why that is the definition of the adjoint operator, because A phi psi. Okay, so this one either I can write it as A phi like this, or A dagger psi phi. This is the definition of the dagger. Okay, so from this only that you are getting. So what is happening? A acting on ket phi is same as A dagger acting on ket psi, because then you take the bra. Okay, so is it clear? Yeah.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Our next class has started. Can you continue?
Okay. I'll stop here now. If anybody have a question, they can continue. Otherwise, you people can get into the other class. Okay.